And welcome everybody. We're going to talk about jewelry and photographing jewelry. And I've pulled some sample images here, some from my students in Project 52 and some from a website online that lets people use pictures for free. And some of those pictures are good and some of those pictures are not so good. So we're going to look at some good examples of shooting jewelry, and we're going to look at some pictures that may be just a little bit off the mark. I think sometimes you can learn a lot by looking at stuff that failed. I also believe you can learn a lot by doing things that failed. You'll learn more from a shot that didn't work than you'll learn from a shot that did. So never ever be worried about making bad photographs. Just make photographs and learn from each one of them. So right off the bat here, we have a shot by Lisa Hubbard, a former Project 52 member. And I really, really like this. I love the delicacy here in this part of the image. You can see how pretty that works in there. We've got the lines of the jewelry and the shadows, which gives us a little bit of mystery. This was a double uh, uh, image assignment. So the second image is this little bit of angel's wings. At first, when I looked at it, I didn't like that it was cropped off. But the more I looked at it, I mean, a couple seconds in, I'm kind of like, I like the wings. They're moving out of the frame. There's a sense of tension. There's a sense of motion here that it's subtle, but I really, really ended up liking it. Nice big soft light to the right side of these things and a hard light to accompany it to give it the shadows. This is a scrim, a cookie put in front of it to give it the dark lines there, but a really, really nice shot by Lisa Hubbard. Next up is David McCallum, and he did David McClenny. I'm sorry, David McClenny did a really, really good job here. Look at the beautiful little highlight right here on this pendant. Look how perfectly aligned the chain is. These little chains will drive you crazy. If they get kinked, it's a problem. You can't show a kinked chain in a good jewelry shot. Okay. Now David used a bit of a spray light behind it to drive the eye right to the jewelry. The color is a little pastel, and I think that brings out the richness of the colors in here. It's a lovely shot. It's well done, and everything that you need to know about this jewelry is shown right here. Really, really well done. This is a shot from a website that allows us to use their images. I'm not copyright violating anybody, and they also say I can use them any way I want, so I can use them to show you how things shouldn't go. Okay, so how things shouldn't go with this. This is a problem down here. This big soft area. It's like, what is that about, right? The ring falling away doesn't help. It just looks sloppy. These rings are in the shadow of the pot. Now, this isn't a terrible disaster of an image. It's just not going to work. Okay? Don't put the rings in the shadow side of the pot, for one thing. Don't tilt the ring away from us, for another thing. And if you're going to have the light coming in, if you want a feeling of light from the top, that's fine, but make us really feel it, and we're not feeling it here. So what happens is the entire image falls flat because it is flat. There's not much difference between the tonality of that ring right in here and the tonality of the marble right there. Compositionally, not bad at all. It's got a nice feeling to it. It's not something that you would want to do. You could use the same items here, absolutely same items, but you need a kicker light somewhere to make us look at these earrings. We're not looking at them now. Here's another one from Unsplash. Better, much better. Shallow depth of field makes the pendant stand out beautifully, but if you're shooting for a jewelry client, you understand everything in commercial photography is baby photography, right? You can't do baby photography and make babies ugly. You can't do baby photography and have half the baby out of focus. Can't do that. That's a no-no. It's like, nope. You got to have enough depth of field to have the front of this piece of jewelry in focus. If this is a jewelry shot, if you're just having fun, yeah, I'm not saying anything like this is a bad picture or anything. Maybe the photographer's just having fun shooting a piece of jewelry, but you can't put that in your portfolio. You could if it was in focus. Background, you can leave the background at that nice, soft, unfocused look. That's fine. But the jewelry itself must be in focus. There is no substitute for that. Here we go. We can take a couple of diamond earrings and lay them on a leaf. Great. Just make sure you make that leaf look as good as possible. And it looks a little flat. We need contrast in this leaf. The other thing, and I'm going to get really, really picky here. Do you see how this stem is slightly crooked coming off the jewelry? The center of the jewelry is here, and the pendant part, or the part that goes in the earring or in the ear, is slightly crooked. The one above it, perfect, goes right straight through. This one, not perfect. If you're going to charge money for photography, make it perfect. This picture also needs a bit of a darkening at the top and a little more darkening at the bottom to bring our eyes to it. All this same color green around is not leading our eyes to those diamonds. The diamonds themselves, yep, they look pretty good. Maybe polish them up a little bit in Lightroom, just a little bit of masking, but they look pretty good. But we do need to get some kind of vignette around them to lead the eye right down to them. And as I say, always, I want a vignette that I feel. I don't want a vignette that I see. If I see it, it's too heavy. It's too much. If you can see that vignette, it's like, oh, no, that's somebody did a vignette on it. If you can look at it and say, somebody did a vignette, it's too much. This is a lovely shot of a person wearing it. I think it's a person. If it is a person, it's so highly retouched that it doesn't look like a person. Maybe it's a mannequin. I don't know. But I really like how the photographer used the V here. Exposure-wise, a little bit dark, lost texture in the coat. We don't want to lose texture in the coat. And the background is a soft background. I don't think it needs to be. I think this could be a brighter white. In my mind, I'm imagining this background as white. And when that background is white, the coat is going to be visible, the skin is going to look a lot different, and the gold will be popped up. So a little bit of an exposure thing, but a nice composition. I used to do shots like this for a local jeweler back in the day, but we had to make the rings stand up and lay down. And standing them up, we would have to use, I used beeswax. A little bit of beeswax on the bottom, and we'd stand them up. And shooting this on an 8x10 meant that I was on a scaffolding shooting straight down, and my assistant was gently moving the rings around on the set because the art director insisted on shooting every set was a 2-page spread with flowers and everything else. It was a nightmare. But they paid me a lot of money, so we got through that nightmare. Okay. All right, so this isn't bad. It's just soft. It's just a little soft. If I was going to reproduce this in a magazine, it might be a little soft. I think this white background is probably pretty close to white, but I would check it. The lighting is all right, but it's not giving me a feeling of the rings themselves. They're just sort of laying there on the surface. Is it a bad shot? No. Is it a shot that I would put in a portfolio? No, I wouldn't put this in a portfolio because it just seems too amateurish. There's not enough reason for us to have those rings down there. Everything you do has got to be deliberate. You know, it has to be deliberate. It can't be, oh, I threw some rings on a white piece of board and took some pictures of them. You know what? Anybody can do that. And if anybody can do that, then anybody will, and it won't be you. It'll be the cheapest person they can get. So be careful of these shots. This might make a nice background for a blog post, but it's not a shot that's going to win you a jewelry client. This one, not bad. Nicely done serpentine, okay? Getting these to fall in line without kinks, that's pretty nice. Pretty good use of the composition there. Not bad at all. The gradient light being a little bit bright over here, throwing a shadow this way works fine. The only thing I would ask you is if this picture was on a page and you were flipping through a magazine, would you stop and look at it? Be honest. Yeah, I'm probably going to flip right by it because I don't know. It's not showing me anything I haven't seen before. And it's not showing me anything I have seen before in a way I haven't seen it before. So, yeah, that's probably a no. This one, on the other hand, I'd probably stop and look at. That's kind of a neat bowl, well done with the necklace going around it. Very well done. It's a little soft. I don't understand the flare up here. Okay. And over here, I don't understand why it gets brighter at the edge like it's doing here. I probably wouldn't have done that. I probably would have made it brighter behind the bowl and darker on the corners, or in my favorite way to do a bowl like this or a pot like this is to make it lighter on this side, the shadow side, and darker on this side, the lit side. However, this photographer chose to do it backwards, and I don't think it's as effective. I do think the jewelry coming across the pot here looks great, really well done, but the highlight's too bright. The shadow's boring because the bowl mixes in with the background. It doesn't stand out. Can you imagine if this background was that color up here, right? And then we'd see that pot just perfectly against the background. And as it came this way, this dark background be back here where the highlight comes across. Instead of getting brighter, it should get darker. Yes, I make statements like that. I've been doing this for so long. I'm not gonna, say, hey, it works when it doesn't. I would, if I was art directing that shot, it would be no, 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 light to dark back there. Um, I really like this. There's so much about this picture that I like. I like how the photographer very carefully strung those items across the rock. They're perfectly lined up. Do you see that? There's no kinks in them at all. As soon as I say no kinks, I'm wondering, yeah, I think that's not, I don't think that's a kink. So really, really well done. It's a very mundane rock, but the mundaneness of the rock, is that a word? Mundaneness? Somebody, perplexity, that thing. The, the, the boring rock becomes exceptional when it's wrapped in this chain. I think it's a great thing. Would it go in your portfolio? Absolutely. Yeah. Show people your creativity in a way like this, and I think it's pretty darn sharp. This is cool too. Um, it was obviously shot the other way, but the photographer chose to present it this way. And it's got the earrings up here, and they're fine, but they're not gold enough. This is a very sparkly glass, and this gold comes in, but the luminosity of the gold is pretty much the same as the luminosity of the frosty on the glass. And so I want these things to show up. What's missing is fill cards. What's missing is a good use of fill cards and a kicker light. You see how the jewelry itself falls into background here? It just falls. It's bright, then it's medium, then it's dark, and it goes right onto that black background. We're not pulling it off the background. We're not pulling the jewelry to the foreground so that you can really see it. So if you had a kicker light on this, just a little bit of punch from the back, put a little edge on that, maybe drive a little light into a fill card over here, to lighten this up in here, maybe a little black card down in here to give it some shadows up in the corners there, and you'd have something. Not bad, not great, good, but not great. All right. This is a nice garnet ring here, and it's presented nicely. I think the lines in the thing, I think those lines are in the rock. They're not they're not reflections of anything. Initially, when I saw it, I thought, "Oop, that's a problem." Now we do have some reflections. Do you see this little reflection right there? You got a little reflection right there. That reflection is the bottom part of this little bead thing here reflecting on that stone. You got one there, you got one right here. Clean that up. You got to clean it up. Yes, it's real, but no, we shouldn't do that. We shouldn't see that because it affects our view of this rock being absolutely clean. Yes, it's a tiny little specular highlight from the jewelry itself. So what? In jewelry, we don't have that. We don't have mistakes and we don't have things that cause confusion. We just do it right. Okay? We're going to finish off with a couple of Project 52 folks here, or a Project 52 folk here. This is Mel Arnaud, and did a gorgeous job with this locket. Look how beautiful the highlights look on this chain. You can see that right on the edge of the chain there, as the chain goes off into darkness right there. It's a white fill card right over here. That's adding that little extra bump of light, and that keeps this thing off the background. It's also giving us the edge of the locket right there. Really, really well done. It pops off the background. The warm colors are really great. You can see a highlight up here. The contrast between the foreground and the background is really fantastic. So really, really well done. Okay, so that's a look at some things you should and should not do in jewelry. And I think you should spend some time shooting jewelry for your portfolio. Absolutely. It's vitally important these days to have that. Product and tabletop and still life and beverage and food are going to be around us for a long, long time. I'm really wondering about some of the mainstays that we've always had, like portrait and fashion and things like that. I'm a little concerned. I'm a little concerned. Seeing so much AI crap that is taking place of that. It's going to be rock and roll. So get some jewelry. You can go to the Goodwill, pick up some junk jewelry. You can, ask your mom, your girlfriend, your buddy, whatever, borrow some jewelry and do it. But remember, if it's old jewelry, it's going to have marks on it. If it's new jewelry, it may still have marks on it when you get in close and you put light on it. It could be scratched. It could be damaged. You've got to clean it up perfectly. You absolutely have to clean it up. So that's it for my jewelry presentation. I hope you shoot jewelry and hope you have fun doing it. And I'll see you guys next time.